Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting, and welcome back to another top 10 list. Today's top 10 list is my top 10 welcoming games. Now, what are welcoming games? Welcoming games, or otherwise known as gateway games, they are games that are very light games. They are very rules light, but fun heavy, in my opinion. These are games that are very good to introduce people that are intimidated by this hobby, that see you playing these board games, are like, that looks fun, but I don't want to come in here and play a big complex game and look dumb in front of everybody. And once they get into the hobby, it's proven to be, oh, you can play these other games that we're playing, but these welcoming games are a great way to introduce them into the hobby and show them, hey, not all these games are big, complex, rules-heavy games. And so when someone comes and they say they want to get into some games, and I'm like, these are the top 10 games that I think about. I'm like, okay, they're coming to the games for the first time. These are the 10 games that come to my head that I like to introduce people. These are the people's first games that I introduce them to. And yeah, so very light games. Let's just jump into the list. My number 10 is an abstract game. This is a game that I like to show people if they're like, okay, can you, me and you just play a game? And I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll just play some two-player games. And this is one of the first ones that I try to show people a lot of times. This is YINSH. YINSH is somewhat of a cross between Five in a Row and checkers, games like that, very abstract games, very beautiful looking game, but you're just basically jumping pieces, and those pieces are either white or black, and if you jump those pieces, they turn to the other color, the other side of it. And if ever there is 5 in a row from one color, then that you get one of the points. It's the first person to get 3 points off the board. It's a great looking game, very rules light game, and I absolutely adore YINSH. And it's a game that people can get into because most people have played checkers. Most people have played 5 in a row. So this is a great abstract game to show people. So it's a great two-player game. Let's go to number 9. Number 9 is a small little card game. This is Point Salad. Now, Point Salad, you basically have a grid of vegetable cards, and then on the top row, you have cards that are points, ways you can score points. And on your turn, you can take one of the vegetable cards that is down in that grid, or you can take one of the point cards that will dictate how you're going to score points for the game. And the scoring is very, very simple. Those scoring cards are like, you get 3 points for every carrot, and you get -1 point for every pepper. So throughout the game, you're trying to collect these carrots and stay away from the peppers. But you're going to get lots and lots, several scoring cards along the way throughout the game, and you just sort of build your strategy that way. But it's very simple to show. I've shown lots of people, I've shown lots of children even, and it seems to go off pretty well most of the time. One that I absolutely adore, actually very simple game. You can teach it in like a minute, and every time I play it a few different times because it usually only takes like 5 to 10 minutes to play this game. So number 9, small Point Salad game. Number 8, we're going to another little card game. This is For Sale. This is kind of an older game, but it's still very relevant, and it's a very good game. In this game, there's 2 phases. In the first phase, you are basically auctioning off these cards, and these cards have values on it. Money values on them, and so you're going around the table sort of auctioning off these cards and just collecting the money. And then you go through all the cards, collect all those money, then the second phase begins. Now you're going to use those money cards that you have in order to try to buy these estates, and the states are numbered like 1 through 50 or something like that, something close to that. A very good game. And if you really want to, you can just teach one phase at a time. You're like, okay, in this first phase, you just want the higher value money cards. Those are going to be good for you in the next phase. And so you can just teach one phase at a time. Very good game, very, very light game, very fast game. That's 8 is For Sale. Going to number 7. Number 7 is a party game. I'm not like a huge party game person. If you've watched this channel for a while, I always say like party games are, I play party games just because I know other people enjoy party games a lot more than I personally do. But number 7 is one of the most popular party games out there. It's getting older now, actually. This is Codenames. Codenames is a team game, team versus team. And there is going to be a clue giver on each team, and then there's going to be the guessers on each team. And you are going to have a grid of cards, and those cards are just going to have words, like a word on them. And then the code givers are trying to give a clue that will point their teammates to their particular words. Some of these words are on the grid are your team's cards. Some of the words are the other team's cards. Some of them are neutral cards that belong to nobody, but there is an assassin card that if one team guesses that card, then they immediately lose. And the codes, you say like knight 3. So the word knight pertains to 3 of those different cards in that grid. Party games usually are a really good way for people to get into groups, feel socially, active, get to know each other a little bit better and have a little bit of fun with not much pressure. So yeah, number 7 is Codenames. Going to number 6. Number 6 is the newest game on this list, but it's a version of a different game that would probably make this list anyways. This is Kingdomino Origins, the latest game in the Kingdomino series. This is a very easy drafting game where you're drafting these domino tiles basically and putting those tiles into your own grid. And you're trying to get lots of terrain of the same type together with lots of these lava tokens on those terrain types. And you're going to score points for those. But this is a great gateway style game. But I picked Kingdomino Origins for this because after you play the original game of this, there are 2 other modes that step up the complexity, step up the difficulty level for this, which are great. I prefer to play the most complex version of this, but if you want to introduce someone to the base version, that's still a great game right there. And like after you play a game or 2, you're like, hey, do you want to try this step up from that game? And it's just like another rule or 2 for it. So yeah, number 6, Kingdomino Origins. Going to number 5. Number 5 is a flip and write game. This is Silver and Gold. This Phil Walker Harding game. Very simple game where you're going to have these treasure map cards in front of you, and those are going to have shapes on them. And you are going to then flip over a shape, and then you're going to X out that shape onto your treasure maps. And you're trying to X out your entire treasure map. When you do, you set that aside and you get more treasure maps. And each time you finish a treasure map, at the end of the game, you're going to score points for those. And it's a great game, great introductory game, great welcoming game. I know this because I've played this with my parents who do not play board games with me. They don't play any of these board games. But I showed them Silver and Gold because I thought they might like it. They loved that game. We ended up when I first taught them that game, I think we ended up playing like 6 or 7 times that game because they liked it so much. So yes, number 5, Silver and Gold. Going to number 4. Number 4 is a superhero themed game. So great if your friend really likes superhero things, Marvel specifically. This is Marvel United. This is a very simple cooperative board game where one player picks a hero and they get a deck of cards for that hero. Now on your turn, you are going to play one of your cards, and these cards have symbols on them. And there's like only 3 different symbols, I think, on these cards. It's like a move, attack, and then like a save civilian action. And you are going to do the actions on the card that you played, and you're also going to do the actions on the card that was played previously by a different hero on your team. So you're trying to coordinate your movement and attacks with other people. There's also going to be a villain on the board that you're going to be trying to eventually take out, but along the way you're going to have to save some civilians. You're going to have to attack the minions on the board and the thugs. Great game, especially if the other person really likes Marvel. So great introductory game. Going to number 3. Number 3 is an older game, and I have played this game way more than any of the other games on this list because I've played this with my son and my nephew, my sister, my game group. I've played it with a lot of people. This is King of Tokyo. This is a dice battling game where every person is going to be in charge of a monster, and you are going to be rolling dice Yahtzee style. You're going to be rolling dice. You want a couple of these dice, and then you put those to the side, and then you roll the other dice. And the dice actions are going to be like attacking the monster that's in Tokyo, or if you are in Tokyo, you're going to attack all the monsters that are outside of Tokyo. And there's also point cards. The person who gets either 20 points first or the last monster standing wins that game. And it's a fun, raucous time where it's just a bunch of laughter throughout the whole game. Great game, pretending to be giant monsters, gallivanting through Tokyo. So let's go to number 2. Number 2 is also sort of a recent game. This is Caesar's Empire. Now, Caesar's Empire completely replaced Ticket to Ride for me. And people are going to say they're not really that similar other than like sort of route building. Well, that's kind of true, but this gives me that feel of Ticket to Ride, but in like a fourth of the time and a lot even lighter rules than Ticket to Ride. On your turn, you're just going to extend one of the roads out that's already being built, or you can start a road from, I think it's Paris or Rome or something like that. You can start a road, and then everybody that has a piece in that road, once you place it, scores points. And so you're constantly scoring points in this game, building off other people. You're also collecting the resources that are at the spots that you're going to. Very fun game. I really like Caesar's Empire a surprising amount. I played this like a couple times. I'm like, yeah, that's really good. And then, but I kept wanting to bring it out, It's one of these like super filler games because it's this giant big board like Ticket to Ride, but you can play this game in 15 to 20 minutes. It's really, really good. So number 2 is Caesar's Empire. Going to our last game on this list, and well, I did say King of Tokyo was the game that I've played the most, but that might be a lie because I've played this one a lot too. Whenever I introduce people to games that have never played games before, this is almost always in my game bag for that day, and it gets broken out a lot. This is Century Golem Edition, or you can play Century Spice Road. But I have got the Century Golem Edition because it's a little bit brighter, a little bit more fantasy, golem creatures, really cool game. In this game, you're just basically going to be collecting these cards, and these cards are going to get you gems or trading gems. And you are trying to, you're either collecting a card or you're going to be playing a card. And these cards, you know, like I said, they're just getting gems or trading gems that you have into different gems. And the point is to get the different gems of the different golems that are up there. So you can either play a card, take a card, or you can buy one of these golems by spending specific types of gems. Once a person has so many of these golems, then the game is over. I have played this game a lot with a lot of different groups, a lot of different people, and most people seem to like it quite a bit. They gravitate to this game. It's, I mean, rules light game, but it does have a lot of depth. You're kind of building an engine with the cards that you're getting. I really, really like this game still a bunch, and I've played it probably 60, 70 times now. So yeah, my number 1 welcoming game is Century Golem Edition. So that will conclude this video. Make sure to comment down below what your favorite welcoming games are. What are the games that you like to show people, new people into the hobby, getting them into this hobby that a lot of people just seem like they are so intimidated by until they are actually into it. So yeah, that will conclude this video. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.